Ever since Season 3 of The Walking Dead, when the survivors occupied a prison, it's been on everyone's mind as one of the best places to survive a zombie apocalypse. At first glance, it kind of makes sense, because prisons are built to keep people in, which means they're also pretty good at keeping zombies and outsiders out. So, today, let's take a closer look and break down just how good prisons actually are when it comes to dealing with the undead. So let's dive into the video with some ground rules. For this zombie apocalypse scenario, we'll be talking about your classic textbook zombies, the rotting corpses that shuffle around slowly like they've just woken up from a 20-year nap. These zombies bite to infect, but they don't climb walls. Think more Night of the Living Dead and less World War Z. That also means no sprinter zombies or super strong mutated monsters or hive minds. This is about realism, or at least as realistic as a zombie apocalypse can get. Alright, so now we're on the same page. Prison is one of those places that nobody wants to go in their life, unless of course it's a zombie apocalypse. Then suddenly, it becomes one of the most sought after survival spots. The idea has taken hold for a reason. Prisons are seen as ideal strongholds. They're surrounded by high walls and reinforced fencing, have limited entry points, and are designed to control movement in and out. The same features that are meant to keep dangerous people inside are believed to be just as effective at keeping dangerous things like zombies outside. At the end of the day, a zombie apocalypse is still an apocalypse, and so the practical challenges would be pretty much the same. To survive, you need to secure food, shelter, and safety. And just like any other collapse scenario, success depends on preparation, location, and how well you can sustain your people and resources. Let's take a closer look at the pros and cons of using a prison as a survival location. First of all, we have the advantages. Number one, it's easily defendable. Prisons are built to basically restrict movement and keep inmates inside, which means they're extremely hard to break into and out of. There are high walls in place, thick fencing, and strong perimeter barriers, which helps them serve their purpose. Add in heavy-duty metal doors, barred windows, and secure checkpoints, and you've got a structure that's already miles ahead of most places in terms of defense. Number two, a lot of space. Most prison facilities are also huge, since they're designed to house hundreds, sometimes thousands of inmates. This translates to plenty of indoor room for people, storage, and isolation zones if needed. Outside, there's often open land that can be used for growing crops or setting up additional structures. In a long-term survival situation, space for self-sufficiency is a necessity. Number three, built-in resources. Many prisons are stocked to sustain large populations. That means there could be leftover food, supplies, a working kitchen or mess hall, medical rooms, bedding, and tools. In some cases, there are auto shops, laundry facilities, and even water treatment systems already in place, all of which can be vital when living off the grid. Number four, elevated vantage points. Guard towers and raised watch posts give you clear views over the surrounding area. This means early warnings against incoming threats, whether undead or human. Visibility is a major survival advantage. If you can see something coming, you have time to respond. Number five, armory access. Some prisons also include secured armories used by correctional staff. These may contain firearms, ammunition, riot gear, batons, and other defensive equipment. In a crisis, having access to that kind of gear could be a game changer. Though whether or not it's still there is another matter entirely. Now, while prisons have a lot going for them, there are also significant drawbacks that can't be ignored. Number one, military occupation risk. In the early stages of a large-scale outbreak, the government may activate emergency protocols, including martial law. Prisons would become strategic assets to use as bases, and for that, military forces would move in and take control. Additionally, under some emergency plans, inmates with short sentences could be released or drafted into the army, while those serving long or life sentences might be detained indefinitely or dealt with harshly. Either way, if the prison is occupied or stripped of everything useful by military or government forces, it becomes nearly impossible to use as a survival base, at least in the short term. Number two, no electricity equals lockdown. Most modern prisons rely heavily on electronic locking systems. Doors, gates, and access points are controlled by keypads, switches, or computer systems. When the power fails during the apocalypse, most prisons would go into automatic lockdown. That means doors shut and stay shut. Unless you know how to manually override the system or cut your way through heavy-duty steel, gaining access or moving through the building becomes a serious problem. Number three, too much space to defend. While having a lot of space is a major advantage, it can also work against you. With long corridors, open yards, and multiple wings or blocks, keeping a prison secure requires a large group of people depending on the actual size of the prison. Sure, you may be able to manage in smaller prisons, but that heavily depends on where you live. Then, security is also a problem. if the outer barricades have been damaged by either zombies or humans trying to break in. Small survivor groups would struggle to monitor blind spots or patrol the perimeter. Without enough manpower, it would be too much to chew on. Number 4. Potential hotspot. Once word spreads, like through this video and other media, prisons may turn into high-interest locations. Other survivor groups might target them for their resources or shelter, assuming they're unoccupied. This raises the risk of confrontation or competition. In a desperate world, people are just as dangerous as the undead. So while prisons have some of the best infrastructure you could ask for in a survival situation, they also come with serious limitations depending on the timing, your group size, and who might already be using it. Now that we've addressed the pros and cons of surviving in prison, it's time to evaluate how effective it really is using a simple 1 to 10 scale where 1 equals a really bad idea, 4 is short-term survival, 7 is a solid medium-term option, and 10 equals indefinite long-term survival. Military use. If the government has taken over the facility, then your chances of using it drop to 1. Military-controlled prisons won't welcome strangers. You're outgunned and outmanned, so you definitely can't brute force your way in. But if the prison's been abandoned recently, then there's a better ranking. In the early abandonment window, after inmates and soldiers have left but before looters descend, it sits around a 3 to 4. The structure remains intact, but now you're facing heavy work just to get inside, restore utilities, and defend the perimeter. There may also be little in terms of usable supplies, as the military would have already taken those. Without electricity, added manpower, and time, you're basically starting from scratch. Small versus large group. Another important factor is group size. A small group of 3 to 10 people would make a prison difficult to defend, but your chances would increase with a larger group and would bump the rating up from a 3 to maybe even a 7 or 9. It all depends on how big the prison is and how many people you have, so you'll have to do a bit of analysis to assess that. But with enough hands for the size of the prison, you can man watchtowers, rebuild power systems, grow food in the yard, and ration resources. Some real-world prisons are already experimenting with farming programs, even hydroponics and aquaponics inside the facility. Long-term sustainability and hotspot risk. A high score comes with some problems. Even modern prisons with significant land, like Angola Penitentiary's 28 square miles of farmland, have challenges for long-term sustainability. Water and sanitation can be problematic. Many facilities have aging systems that fail during crises, but the agricultural potential is real. Some prisons actually produce large-scale food supplies for inmates and staff, but prisons remain hotspots. People will know where you are, and you might attract attention from desperate survivors. If you can secure clean water, restore power, and build sustainable food production, count that as a 10, but only if you pull it off quietly, or if you can defend it with your life. So in plain terms, prisons can be a stronghold, but only under specific conditions. You need time, manpower, utilities restoration, and the grit to defend it. With less than that, there are probably better survival spots. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more zombie survival content. Thanks for watching, and we hope you see you next time.